So the Whipple install, I'm not going to go over all the instructions. They give you a manual and it's pretty detailed. If I do run into anything that's like I have to do that's not really in the manual, I'll let you guys know. Just kidding. That's the coolant draining right there. The instructions, they say that the petcock right here is going to be on the lower driver's side of the radiator. The driver's side would be on that side, and it's not there. On the passenger side, though, you will find, I don't know if you can see it. I gotta flip the camera. So that is on the passenger side, not on the driver's side. You undo that yellow screw, and that'll drain your coolant. Not the driver's side, the passenger side. So I don't know if that's the 19s, and this is, well, it says updated as of February 10th, so that is incorrect. So I'm just working through the teardown process, and something that I do, because I'm not a professional, and when you start disconnecting everything, sometimes it gets confusing when you go to put it back together. So I do mark off some hoses and connectors and stuff like that, so when I go to put it back together, I know where it goes. What do you think of the car, how it looks right now?
On the front, looks all black. And how'd you take the front off?
It was a little bit of work.
Well, what'd you use?
Tools. Gonna have to go rogue on the directions a little bit here. So after I took out the intake manifold, which is right here, I'm gonna have to do the fuel pump that's right here and the injectors, and I'm gonna figure that out. I think I'm gonna have to take out the fuel rail on either side and take everything apart up here to do that fuel pump and the injectors. So LT1 fuel injectors go bye-bye, and the LT4 right there going in. I got this guy, LT4 pump. Oh yeah. All right, so it might be hard for you guys to see, but there was a bolt here that held on this fuel rail, not fuel rail, but the fuel line. And there's a retainer clip I just popped off, and you'll need one of these tools. Just pops in there, and then that way, you can just, can't really do it one hand, but you pop that line off, and then you work your way through. You gotta undo the line here. Basically all the lines you gotta undo, and take this guy out, and along the fuel rail, all the bolts there. And then as you take out the fuel pump here, this connector is gonna have to get out of there, and there's a bolt right in here on either side, and you wanna raise those up evenly. So do a little bit here, a little bit there, and go back and forth until you get that out. Also disconnect here, so electric plug there, and I'm gonna get to work. The line right here, they're a 17 millimeter, just to help you guys out. Yeah, so that was pretty easy. Those bolts that are in there, they don't come all the way out, so you just loosen them, and then the whole rail pulls up, and then you get really good access to those two bolts without messing around too much with trying to get the clip off of the rail. So there's retainers that are on here that hold the injectors. Gonna have to pop those off, and I'm gonna put in the LT4 injector. Also, the rails, it shows you, it's already labeled right side and left side, so you can't really mix it up. That's the LT1. It's the LT4. This one's just slightly bigger. The top here is a little different. So I'm gonna slap this one in. It was really easy. I was able to unscrew both of those at the same time since I had all that space because the rails were out of there. There it is, guys. Rails are out of there. The fuel pump is about to be set back in, and I'm gonna be working on swapping over those injectors. And those retainers, I think, are gonna suck. Wish me luck. So I'm gonna use these, they're like reverse pliers, and that's how you get this clip off. I can't do it one-handed, but that's how you open it up. And then on the other side, with my other hand, I'm gonna use pliers, or pry bar, mini pry bar, just to pop it out of there. So I ran into an issue. I had this like basically in, and I went to go plug it in, and this connector for the LT4 high pressure pump is different than the stock connector of my LT1. So the plug from the fuel rail does not work on this. So I'm contacting Genetti Racing, where I got the fuel system from, and seeing what they say. I don't know if there's some kind of way to get these fuel rails to work. I don't know, we'll see. All right, so jumping ahead a little bit, I have the radiator fans out, so it gives you more clearance. The 24, it's a 24 millimeter bolt for the harmonic balancer. I got that out using a 1/2-inch drive. My buddy let me borrow it, 1/2-inch drive. And this thing had some power. It like loosened it up, no problem. It was able to fit in there to loosen it up. And then after that, I just used the 24 millimeter socket and just eased it out of there. Now for the pulley, I borrowed a Chrysler harmonic balancer puller, but the problem with that is that it's obviously for Chryslers. These adapters that go through are not the right size. So what I have ahead of time that didn't work was from Napa. I got this, whatever, pulley, and our harmonic balancer puller, but it's not the right style. However, that long, this guy right here, this long nut, it has at the end of it like this wide pointy thing, and it's enough that it's catching right there. So I have it all set up. The hooks are behind it, and I'm just gonna find the right socket for this guy and get this sucker out of there and put the ATI dampener in. So this is the ATI dampener, harmonic balancer. All right, so the tool that I used to pull off that harmonic balancer, it was a combination like I showed you guys, and I tried to use that same combination to install, and it didn't work because that the threaded part wasn't long enough to install it. So I went back to the store. I did rent the one tool, so I returned it and got one that had longer, let's see, has the longer bits. The thicker thread long one ended up working. It comes with this big bearing. Now, the problem is when I was there, I don't have a wrench or socket that is that size. It is huge. So I am going back to the store. I've made like, I haven't told you guys, I think along the way, but I've made like 1,000 trips to the auto stores close by. And they're taking care of me every single time. So shout out to those guys who's grinding away, helping me out. All right, so O'Reilly's had what I needed. It was 1 1/4. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a combination of the install kit that I had. It had this like claw install type thing, and it fits, but it doesn't thread over. It goes over the threads, and then I'm gonna use this install bolt, and hopefully that's gonna be, it gets real tight and the engine's not turning over. So I'm gonna hope that I can torque this down, and then the balancer is gonna go right on in. We'll see how it works. All right, so it's working. And I got the deep socket as well if it gets too long. But so far, the seems to be moving in. So I got to the point where I was tightening it down on the engine and then the crank started to move. So what I had to do is take that socket off of this guy. That was this was on there. Well, at first it went, this was on there, and then this was on there. And then what I ended up having to do is, oops, well this side went into the crankshaft, but this is a 10 millimeter, and I was able to hold on to that super tight. And the bolt, this bolt is 1 1/4, okay, and that comes with the installation kit. And this bolt, this was part of the kit. So that ended up working for me because once I used that socket, it just started spinning the motor. So I had to hold the crank. This was the best I could do at the moment. It was just a 10 mil. I was holding that really tight and cranking it with that one to get the, oh, it's a little dark. I don't know where my light is. To get the first part of the balancer on. Now, the issue I ran into is even with the fans off, I don't have enough room to get the 1/2-inch drive impact to tighten that down. So I'm gonna take out my radiator, and so I'll have enough room to fit this guy, because right now there's just not enough room. All right, so to get that stretch belt installed was a pain, and you can probably see there's some spots where I was prying and smoothed it out with a Dremel just to make sure they didn't cut the belt when it starts to go. I do have the AC and radiator out just to make it easier to get to that the crank here. Now, rookie mistake. I put like that install tool, that like plastic install tool for the belt, instead of using the self tensioner, and so it snapped off and it broke my my tensioner, the spring there. So the plastic thing like went from here and shot up and broke this guy, which was a bummer. So I'm gonna have to get another one of those. The clip situation for the high pressure fuel, I did order a new clip, which I'm gonna have to wire this up. I'm gonna have to cut this and use this clip, and it lines up perfectly in the LT4. So if you have a 2019 Camaro SS, you're gonna need to do that, because the plug for the fuel rail does not match the LT4 fuel pump plug. So a lot of stuff going on so far. I do have the ATI dampener on, and then when I went to go put the Whipple pulley on, because it tells you that, one of these I stripped. So I have to go to ATI's site or whatever and order another one of these, and it stripped super easy. So be careful with those. So today was not a great day. I mean, I did get the radiator out and AC out, but Matt, like a little bit of a stall. I'm gonna have to do the connectors. I'm gonna put all the fuel stuff back in, and then I'm gonna work on putting the radiator back in, and then there's some brackets. So just plugging along. Fuel rails are back in. The plug situation, this is what it looks like now. Oh, right here. So it looks like a factory almost plug now, and that's it plugs up perfect into here. Now what I have to hope is that the wires are in the right spot. So I was just hoping that this fuel pump, the LT4, was the same power signal lines as the other fuel pump. So I plugged in this one and then seen which side to wire up with the other plug. So if there's a fueling issue, it might be that. It might be when I drop the tank that something's disconnected. There's a lot of moving parts here. Hopefully everything goes well. But fuel rails are in. Fuel pump is in. It's just got to be plugged up, the other plugs, and the other middle fuel lines. Now, with the tensioner, I went over to Chevy, and for that tensioner, this whole assembly piece, it's $92 shipped or to the dealership, and it's going to take 7 to 10 business days. Now, the $100, it sucks, but what really sucks is that 7 to 10 business days. I really hope it comes sooner. So I'm just going to do everything that I possibly can outside of that tensioner. I don't know. It's nice to have the radiator and this stuff gone so you can get into this area really easy. But I got a lot of work to do, so maybe I'll just keep going. All right, so while I'm waiting for the, that's the serpentine tensioner right there, broken. So it's gonna be some time until I get that. But I'm gonna move ahead, and I got the intercooler on, the AC condenser, and the radiator all back on. Now, something that I did, so installing this stupid plastic crap and not having to deal with it right now while I do the brackets, I just dremeled out. There's like fittings, not fitting, but like right here at those AC lines. These are like form fitted, but so I don't have to take out those AC lines to get this stupid plastic out. I cut it. So next time, I don't know if there's some kind of issue or whatever, it'll just be easier to get that plastic off. Things are moving along pretty good.